Okay, I've taken a look at this Venus Project Challenge, and I see a lot of good in it, and I just want to comment further. I normally don't get involved in discussions like this, but it's brought up issues of the environment and of the world population and helping people throughout the world, and I like that. So I just want to make some comments. Mainly, these are going to be negative comments in a sense, because I'm looking at it having read the FAQ, and I know that TVP Challenge you also, Brandy, you also mentioned the FAQ, and that you were very satisfied with it. I came away with quite a different opinion. So I'm just going to mainly go through that, but the obvious benefits to this are inestimable as it concerns the environment, and perhaps reducing the disparity between the very rich and the very poor, and I think those are praiseworthy goals. So let me get on with these other points, though. Now, it seems to me that if the project wants to attract the minds and hearts, it needs clarity. It needs really a lot more clarity than I'm finding in it. The FAQ seem to be kind of muddled, and I tell you what, I'm in finance. I'm a trader, and those FAQ, not only with Jacques, I forgot his last name, there, but also on the other site. When I read them, they kind of remind me of a Pink Sheets prospectus, and that analogy may be lost on some folks, so I just quickly, Pink Sheets, if you knew the reputation or the bad reputation of Pink Sheets, you'd really appreciate what I'm saying. So here are some of my challenges to this idea, quite aside from some of the good things I've already mentioned. In fact, I'm going to dispense with this first one, who is in charge. I think that's kind of answered, and it's a good thing. It seems to be a very diffuse sort of enterprise or project, so I don't think that right now that's a big concern. But what I don't find answers to are these other questions, like how do people get paid, and why should people work if they're not getting paid? And then again, this idea of some kind of model city. When you build a model city, you need land. I mean, how do you get that land? That means somebody's got to come up with capital, money. So let me explore some of the ideas ventured in the FAQ that didn't satisfy me. Okay, this is directly from the FAQ. It says it's a system that makes goods and services available without credit, money, barter, debt, or servitude. Okay, fine, except you still have to compensate people for the work they do. And there's a lot of talk in the FAQ about the difference between human nature and human behavior. Well, guess what? People who put forth different levels of effort in order to perform some professional service are entitled to be compensated differently. That's not only human nature, that is spiritual justice. Next off, the Venus Project will replace politicians with cybernated society. Fine, but who writes the programs for all these cyber systems? Who writes those programs? Those aren't just out of thin air. Human beings do that. So that means there's going to be some bias. And this next one talks about eliminating labor. Okay, it sounds interesting. But later on, he talks about people being able to spend more time with their families because they work shorter hours. Well, work means labor. Now he says in the next one, they're going to do away, in an earlier one he said, they're going to do away with politicians, but we're going to have an international planning council Okay, you know what? I'm all in favor of an international world government at some point, and that's in the far future, but I'd be happy if we could have it tomorrow. We just won't. But this International Planning Council means politicians. And in the next one, we're back to labor again. People are working here. No need for high-stress jobs to rotate personnel. Okay, well, that's going to take people knowing an awful lot of things. And again, for people to study, let's say a brain surgeon, you think a brain surgeon is going to put in the time necessary to be able to do the job and still be compensated in what? Beans and potatoes or what? And frankly, they'd be entitled to be well compensated and to have some kind of stature above the rest of the population. Now, people misbehave, they are helped. He doesn't say how they are helped. And, no mechanism for helping them. What do you talk to them and you send them away? I don't know. It's supposed to get rid of the idea of arrest and imprisonment, but, some people don't respond that well to being talked to. This next one's a great statement. We feel that our proposals will generate a new incentive system. How? He never says how. Well, maybe he does. He says the education he advocates is the intelligent use of existing resources and the protection of the environment. That's supposed to incentivize people to work on things, to discover things? I don't know. He believes in the incentive system, but not the present incentive system. Well, give us an incentive system then. I don't see one yet. Now, these folks, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Bell, the Wright brothers, Darwin, and others, they supposedly worked only because they loved the science or whatever, not financial gain. I'd have to argue with that. Actually, Michelangelo was very interested in making a buck, so was Da Vinci, so were the Wright brothers. Just look at history. Here we have an incentive for people to do good things and study. And that's supposedly the idea of being able to end war, territorial disputes, etc., etc. Okay, I don't know that I would want to put in 12 years to learn brain surgery in order to do that. And again, we're supposed to get rid of politicians. And right away he says, you look above that, he says it's essentially a function of government to do the things that he's talking about, defining appropriate ways to manage human affairs. So evidently he's not talking about getting rid of politicians. Somebody has got to be in charge. That's a fact. And finally, this is really interesting. He's talking about World War II and saying we didn't have the gold to do it or the money, so it was just resources and technical personnel. Wrong. The government started printing money like crazy to pay people to go into the war plants to build airplanes and tanks and bombs and guns. It was money. Simple as that. So, I'm about done with that. I'm getting back to the point, though, that I think that a lot of the things that are proposed are really good ideas. I do like the idea of a model city as a demonstration of what could be done. That's an excellent idea. Thanks for the time, and thanks for bringing up the discussion. I think merely the fact that you brought up the discussion is worth more than a whole lot of things, okay? Because it needs to be talked about.